Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, we're going to play around with some external CSS. I wanted to show you how this works on kind of a larger site, but I didn't want you guys to have to build an entire site by yourself. So I've given you this project starter. It's a UMA blog website that I put together. And so you don't actually have to build this website. I've already built it. It's there for you. And you can see there's articles. I just pulled articles from the latest edition of the UMA newspaper. But as you can see, it's not great. It doesn't look amazing. The design isn't awesome. And we have multiple pages here that we want to play around with. The thing that you need to do, though, is you need to do what's called fork the REPL, all right? Forking it, okay? Be careful with that pronunciation. If you click the button fork here, it'll create a version of this project in your REPL account, right? So you'll be able to make modifications and change stuff that I've done here individually, and it won't affect everybody else's version of this project. Okay, so you've forked the site. So all I did, again, I clicked that link and I clicked this fork button here. Okay. So once you create a fork version, you want to download the style.css by clicking on this download arrow here. Now I've already downloaded it. I'm going to go ahead and drag it in to my files section here. Okay. So this style.css, this has a bunch of CSS code in it. And this is going to be what kind of details, what handles all four of our pages. We have index with some stuff on it. We have blog 1 with some stuff on it. Blog 2 with some stuff. And blog 3. Now this one style sheet is going to handle the design for all of our pages. And so we're going to need to link all of our pages to this one style sheet. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with our index page. Now, links to the style sheet have to be inside the head section. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to type link href equals style.css and the rel style sheet. Now, you can interchange the order of these because they're just arguments. So you can do rel style sheet first if you want, and it would still work. It doesn't really matter, right? All right, let's go ahead and run this and see if anything happens, if anything changes on our page. Okay, so we've noticed some things. First of all, it looks like our font changed, and then, let's go back home. The H2s here kind of turned white. And so we already see some CSS changes here. And that's because, the anchor element is white and text texture. Okay, cool. So the stuff up here that applies to everything on the page has already been applied. The stuff down here, which are class dependent, have not been applied because we haven't changed classes yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. It looks like this div right here, I don't know why that's indented like that. Interesting. Cool. I'm just making some changes here, some indentation changes. So anyway, it looks like this div right here is supposed to be the header. So let's say class equals header. And if we look at our style sheet, we can see that we have a header class, which will change the text color to white, the background color to that UMA red, give it some padding and center align the text. Let's go ahead and run that. And now we can see that that change has been applied. Now the nice thing is, because it's on the style sheet, we can actually apply it to every header in our project. So if we go to blog 1, for example, we can see that this is probably the header as well. So class equals header. We'll run it, and then let's go to the marksmanship page. Hello. Why is that not working? Oh, we haven't put in our link. Okay. So yeah, every page that's going to use this style sheet needs this link. I'm going to go ahead and copy that real quick, and I'm going to paste it into the head section of every page we have. Beautiful. All right. So now if we were to run the website, go to our marksmanship page, we can see that that now has a header class applied. Let's do the same here. Class equals header. And we'll do the same for our archery page. Class equals header. So now all three of these, all of these divs are using that same header class, right? Which is styled in only one place, right here in that CSS style sheet. All right. Perfect. Next, let's focus on finishing the home page here. All right. So we have our header. Next, we're going to need to create a row. So let's see. This div handles the row, and then all of these inside are different columns within that row. So this is going to be class equals row. Okay. Now where I'm getting that from is if we go into our CSS, we can see that we have a class called row, which basically will clear out the contents of the float or whatever. Basically it'll make it so that our rows will go, or our columns will collapse next to each other like they're supposed to. Clears out our floats. But we have that, so that's applied to the div now, to this div. The div below it is going to be a column. Class equals column. This one as well is going to be a column. And this one is going to be a column. Oh, hello. Column. Let's run that and see what happens. So now we can see that they've all kind of mushed in together inside this one row, which is what we want. Now we have a problem though. Our images are they're getting kind of squishy. It doesn't really look great. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's look at our style sheet again. It looks like we have a class called column image that sets our image to be 100% of the width of the column that it's in, which kind of looks like what we want. So let's go ahead and apply this column image class to all of the images that we have here. So let's go to the image. We'll say class equals column image, just like that. And we can copy that to all of the images that we have. Let's run it again and see if that fixed our issue. And it looks like it. It looks like it did. Now our images are growing and shrinking with the page, and everything looks the way it's supposed to. All right, perfect. Now, this style.css, this is a style sheet that I created specifically for this project. You're going to have to create your own style sheets from scratch for most of these projects. I just created this, and so I created all of the classes, which again, you probably are going to create different classes for your projects. For this project, however, use the classes that I've built. If there's something in here that you don't like, you can change it if you really want to. But just follow along with this video so that you can make sure that you are doing the project the way you're supposed to. All right, so we have one final div down here, which is the footer. Let's see if there's a class that handles our footer. So we have a header class, column, nav column, art column. We have a footer. So let's go ahead and assign that footer class to this div. Class equals footer. And let's give it a run. All right, so that is our home page. That is our very basic, very simple home page, but it's designed well enough. Now, if we were to actually turn this into a full blog site, I would probably have multiple rows worth of articles that you can click on and read. Right now we're just doing 3 just to make it simple. Okay. All right. So we have our home page done. Let's take a look at our blog 1 page. And let's run it. Let's go here. Okay. So our blog 1 page has our header class applied. We did that a little bit ago. It has this navigation section here. Navigation is going to be over here on the side, and then the rest of the content is going to be in on the other part of the page. And if we look at our navigation column, nav column, here we go. It's going to change the background color to that UMA blue. It's going to take up 20% of the width of the page, and it's going to be 800 pixels in height. So we want that nav column to be applied to a div, the div that handles our navigation. Okay. We also want to apply the row class. Let's do that right now. Row, so that we don't forget. And then class equals nav column. Let's go ahead and run that and see what happens. All right, so far that's looking pretty good. That's our nav column. That's our navigation column. Perfect. And then down here, in this div, we really don't have to, let's see, did I set this up for, yeah, so let's set this up to be a column for the article. I want this picture to be embedded kind of in the text, and I want the text to have some formatting applied to it. If we look at the art column, the article column, it has it floating to the left. Its width is 80%, so it takes up 80% of the page. It has some padding. And then there's also art image, which we can apply to that image. So we have a couple of classes we can play with. Let's go back to our blog and let's change this div. Class equals art column. And then the image will say class equals art image. All right. Let's run that and take a look. All right. That actually looks a whole lot better. We have our image right there. It has some nice padding around it. The text is flowing around the image the way it's supposed to. Now the only thing we have to do is apply this footer class. Class equals footer. And everything will look great on this page. Perfect. So we have a nice looking blog page. The only thing you have left to do is do the same thing for each of the other 2 blogs, right? Add your row class here. Class equals row. Add your nav column class here, nav column. Add your class equals art column class here. Your art image class here, and your footer class at the bottom. Okay, so now our second blog should be set up properly, and it is. Okay, so once again, class equals row. Class equals nav column. Class equals art column. Class equals art image. And class equals footer. Okay, so now our archery page looks good. This is great. Everything's working properly. The links all work. The pages are uniform in their design. This is exactly why we use an external style sheet, because it allows us to make pages that feel more designed. They feel more like they've been designed well. And honestly, I would probably, if I were to redesign this page, just looking at it, I'd probably change this home page so that it followed the same navigation strategy over here, the same nav bar, and the center content would be maybe, I don't know, a welcome to UMA kind of article or something to that effect. But there are many different ways to build web pages. I just wanted to show you guys that you can use a CSS page or a CSS external style sheet to create CSS on your pages and make a unified design for a website that you can apply to any page on the site just by using a link to that style sheet. All right, once you're done developing your blog or designing your blog site, essentially tying your style.css sheet into each of your pages, go ahead and submit it just like you normally would. Even though this is a forked REPL, you still want to click invite, generate a join link, and then submit it that way. And then I'll be able to grade your work, and we can move on to the next week. All right. Thank you guys for paying attention, and I'll see you later.